Hey, welcome to Marriage Monthly. We are Gabe and Melissa, and this month we're talking about insecurity. Ooh, big topic.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're tired of, having lots of arguments and dealing with jealousy and doubt and some of the train wreck that creates in your marriage, it's going to be a good one, I think, for everybody. We want to move past, that stuff. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how to overcome insecurity. I found out this week that insecurity is one of the biggest challenges in many marriages today. Listen to this will be a shock to you, I think. More men than women feeling more insecure than ever before due to financial incapability, lack of self-love, jealousy, past failures, or feeling worthless and undeserving of love. And so it's interesting that that has actually shifted recently. So more men than women are feeling insecure in marriage, and it's creating a lot of problems.
I'm unsure I believe that.
How do we solve this problem? You want to talk about that for a sec?
All right. Well, so I was thinking about what security should be like. Like, what does security feel like? And we were talking about Song of Songs 2:4, and it says, "He escorts me to the banquet hall. It's obvious how much he loves me." And I just think that is so cute. Isn't that cute?
Yeah.
Like, it's like you can see
obvious.
it. Yeah, it's obvious how much he loves me. Like, he's escorting me into the banquet hall. It means he's proud of me. He's like excited to see me. Like, there's so much to that. I mean, like when I go to church on Sunday morning and I see Gabe, I perk up. And I'm like, does he see me? And he sees me and he walks over and he gives me a hug and a kiss on Sunday mornings because we don't come to church together. And so it's just funny how, it's like he's proud of me. I'm proud of him, and that's good. So, but I did a little research on Bible Hub. If you don't know much about Bible Hub, it's Gabe's favorite.
I love it.
It's his favorite thing.
BibleHub.com.
Yes. And it really is so neat, but it's a bunch of commentators, right? And they're
it's all sorts of Bible resources if you're wanting
multiple versions of the Bible too, that kind of thing. So I was looking at Bible Hub this week on this passage.
So proud of you, babe.
Thank you. And it was talking about that, that whole passage is talking about that his banner of love is over me. Mm-hmm. And I was like, banner of love is over me. Like, I know a child's song about his banner, but I was like, what does that mean? So I looked a little deeper, and it was talking about that I have a sense of protection and love, being under his care, a place of support and safety, like an umbrella, like a banner. I'm under that. I'm safe. So to me, security looks like protection, love, care, support, safety, those kind of things when I think of it through the lens of that passage. And isn't that beautiful? Because I feel like that with you. And I hope that every relationship feels like that it's a safe zone.
That's the goal. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a safe zone. It's a protective zone. It's our thing. We don't invite other people into it. Yeah. It's our thing. It's our relationship. And it's sacred. Mm-hmm. It's the banner.
Well, I think that's why insecurity is so destructive for marriages, is because you don't feel secure.
Right.
That's missing. So how are you supposed to thrive and grow together if you don't feel secure?
Well, and then I feel like you bring in other people and other things to try to fill the void. Yeah. And then insecurity just explodes.
Yes,
so, there's a root to it. You're going to talk about that.
Yeah, we will. We sure will. So we do want to get into that. We're going to give you four ways to deal with this today. And the first one is find the root. Mm-hmm. And, the insecurity happens for lots of reasons. And it's not always the same. At our house, I'm not a gardener, so self-proclaimed, like whatever the opposite of a green thumb is, that's me. And so we just try not to have much plants. Vegetation, around our house, unless we're eating it, So out front, there's this Japanese maple tree that has lived for 16 years somehow. And we've never done anything to it except for just cut it, back. And then in front of that, there's these weird green things that come up every year.
What are they?
I don't even know. No. And I wish they weren't there. They're too close to the tree to look good. And yet I cannot figure out how to get rid of these things. I've tried cutting them. I've tried pulling them up by what I thought was the roots. Found out that they are bulbs, and I think they're like 600 feet deep or something like that, because I can't get rid of this thing. And sometimes that's how insecurity is that it's growing up and you're like, where is this coming from? And why is it happening? And we've tried and tried and tried. You got to get to the root. I like what Proverbs chapter 20 verse 5 says. It says, the purposes of a person's heart are deep waters, but one who has insight draws them out. The idea being you can look behind the surface sometimes, and we should all be willing to do that when we're dealing with insecurity in our marriage. Some signs of insecurity, in case you're wondering, maybe this is something that we're dealing with in our marriage. It could be things like this: avoidance. A problem comes up and somebody wants to avoid it. Because why? Because they don't feel secure enough to approach the problem. Maybe it's because they feel like the marriage is going to fall apart if we, approach a problem. Maybe it's because they just don't have the confidence that's built up. Yelling and defensiveness is actually a sign of insecurity. You know, sometimes it's kind of like a wounded dog is going to be, vicious, right? And in some ways, that's a sign of insecurity.
Well, and it looks prideful, right?
It does.
So you're thinking, you're so cocky, but really it's insecurity.
Yeah, most of the time. Being overly critical is a sign of insecurity, where you're compensating a little bit, Being overly emotional is a sign of insecurity, because everything is really a big deal, because we're not sure everything's going to last. Feeling intimidated is a sign of insecurity. So there's lots of these signs of insecurity in marriage. Where does it come from? So let's think about this for just a second. It can come from baggage. In other words, things that have happened in the past that you've carried into, we all do this to some degree. We've carried it into our relationship. It could be maybe you're married again, and it could have been your previous marriage, maybe there was some patterns, some trends, some habits, things that weren't healthy. And you sort of brought some of that in, or brought the fear of it in, and that could be part of it. Could be a critical spouse, and I think that we all have to, as spouses, not say, do I have a critical spouse? I think the thing is, am I a critical spouse? How could I be more supportive? We'll get more into that stuff. Could be lack of commitment. That could be the root of insecurity. If one spouse has even a crack in this, and I think we got to really be honest about this, if one spouse has even a crack of lack of commitment, it just produces insecurity in a relationship. And so marriage only thrives with full commitment. We know that for sure. And it could be an unresolved event, something that happened in the marriage that's not resolved can create massive amounts of insecurity. So that's stuff that we can maybe think about. I want to ask you to ask. This is how you find the root. Ask through prayer, ask God, ask through reflection, kind of asking yourself, ask a counselor, ask a pastor, somebody who knows you, to go, hey, I'm dealing with this. Help me figure out what's the root of this. Ask a leader, ask a trusted friend. And you can ask this question, help me see my blind spots. Where might this be coming from? So that's the first thing, find the root.
All right. Another thing is let go of the past. Gabe touched it a tiny little bit, and it's really, really powerful. I mean, this really can pull you down and ruin your relationship. So I love a couple passages I want to read to you. 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, anyone who belongs to Christ has become a new person. The old life is gone. A new life has begun. And Philippians 3:13 and 14 says, forgetting the past and looking forward to what's ahead. And I just love those two passages. It's like, just forget what's behind, forget about the baggage. I know you might have to deal with the stuff, but don't drag it in every day in and day out, and your insecurities with each other are just like exploding all the time because you're just holding on to all the drama and all the past. So forgetting the past, I love that. So stay focused on the future. Whatever past decisions, mistakes, maybe people in your life that has built into your insecurity, we've got to come to the point where we're just going to break the chain and let it go, right? You are whole in Christ. You are special. You are valuable. You are worthy. You are enough. And I just want you to know that God sees you through that lens.
That's true.
And so you can't be insecure because you are a child of God and you're worthy. And so don't be insecure. And I know that's so much easier said than done. So just wanted to mention, don't stay hostage to your past and let it affect your future well-being. And especially if it's affecting your marriage. And I'm sure it is, because if there's just an inkling of insecurity, it's gonna come out in the primary relationship you have, which is this one. So now if your spouse has hurt you deeply, or there's infidelity or something like that, and I know that happens, it might be time to get help.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, if there's just a crumble in your relationship, it's getting bigger and bigger crack, and you're just like, wow, we've destroyed our relationship. I mean, look at where we are from a year ago. Maybe evaluate. Are we better from a year ago? Question. Are we better from 5 years ago or not?
And what are some things we could think about that would tell us if we're better or not?
Well, are you arguing more? Are you avoiding each other more? Have you stopped doing date nights? Have you stopped making time for each other? Are you too busy to make time for each other? Do you have deep conversations anymore? Are you... are you making each other a marriage relationship, like the committed relationship you had? Is that a priority in your life? Because if it's not, and it's way worse, maybe you're not even sleeping in the same bed anymore. I mean, that's not what God's plan is for your relationship. That is broken. and that needs to be fixed. So, I mean, you need to get help for that. Maybe start the forgiving process if you need to. Maybe start building the trust process again if you need to. But don't give up.
Yeah.
Don't let insecurity ruin your relationship and ruin it. And also, don't hold your spouse hostage to the past.
Yeah.
You know, oh, you did this 10 years ago. You did this, and I'm never going to let it go. Well, that's another thing that's just going to just ruin the relationship. Yeah. I mean, your spouse isn't meant to fill you up and make you whole. And we have to remember that. I think a lot of times we get married because we have this deep, I don't know, crack in our life, and we think, oh, if I get married, it's just going to fill it up. It's probably going to make it worse.
Yeah.
It's hard. Marriage is not easy. I mean, it's
a total blessing, and we all want to acknowledge that. But yeah, it's a give situation, right?
Yeah.
Not a take situation.
If I was single, doing my thing my way, when I want, how I want, with the money I want, it was all about me. But then all of a sudden you bring your love in and you want to have this relationship. It's beautiful. But then everything is shared. Everything is, let's talk about this. We need to work through this. We need help with this. What are we going to do with this? How are we going to use our budget, our finances?
Yeah.
Everything is together at that point. And it's harder. So I'm just saying, Gabe wasn't meant to make me whole. Only Jesus can make me whole. So this is a blessing and a beautiful relationship, but I'm not looking at you to make me whole and fill me up.
I'm so glad. It takes a lot of pressure off.
So let go of those insecurities. You are God's favorite, so stand tall and confident in that.
That's great. I heard a quote this week that really fits. It was, yesterday's darkness did not rise with today's sun. And I really like that. You know, the idea of, we can let go of the past and move forward.
Yeah.
Next, once you find the root, let go of the past, then recommit. That's one of the things that we're, noticing is that when people go through some speed bumps, you can't just act like it never happened. You can't just, sweep it under the carpet and hope that, that never happens again. You've got to kind of pause and spend a moment, spend some energy recommitting. And I was thinking about Notre Dame, the great church in Paris. We were there a number of years ago, and I actually had a really embarrassing moment in Notre Dame where this is not what the story's about, but I was just in awe of this place. So I'm looking up, walking around, and I did not notice this row of chairs that was all kind of laid out on the marble floor with metal legs during a mass. And so I bumped into this chair, and it bumped into another chair. It was like this weird chain reaction of 11 or 12 chairs making this weird noise. And everyone turned and looked at me right in the middle of this mass. But that wasn't about the story. What the story was, do you remember when it burned down?
Yep.
Notre Dame burned down.
Yep.
And you know what? Nobody asked, are we going to rebuild it? Nobody asked that question. Because it was obvious that they were going to rebuild Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Because it was so valuable. It was so historical.
That's
it meant so much to so many people. And I think sometimes we look at our marriages and we're like, well, would we rebuild it if it's Notre Dame? I mean, come on. This is like a marriage that God arranged. And I think we've got to acknowledge the ashes, no doubt about it, but decide to rebuild because it's worth it. And your marriage is so much more valuable than a building. So why would we not, go to work rebuilding our marriages? In Ephesians chapter 5, it says, for husbands, this means love your wives just as Christ loved the church. He gave up his life for her. So there's got to be that commitment. And I think stopping to go, honey, I want to love you like Christ loved the church. I will give up my life for you. I'm in it to win it, whatever it takes. That recommitment, I think, is important. In Ephesians chapter 5:31, it says, as the scriptures say, a man leaves his father and mother and is joined to his wife, and the two are united into one. And so just acknowledging again, okay, we're starting fresh. Maybe we've learned some stuff. Maybe we're building on some actual knowledge together that we've discovered. We're building on some convictions that are deeper because we don't want to go back to the same place we just came from. And we're going to call that out. Secrets lose their power when they come out into the light. Darkness loses its power when it comes out into the light. And so we can pull that stuff out.
That's right.
And one thing that we've done many times with couples, and we love when we get to do this, is we do these vow renewal ceremonies.
Oh, yeah, that's so fun.
Did it at a marriage retreat earlier this year, and it's just a lot of fun. So I want to do this with you right now. You ready?
Oh, okay.
Okay. So if you're watching and, you want to play along, let's go. You go like this. I, Gabe, take you, Melissa, to be my wife, my constant friend, my faithful partner, and my love from this day forward. We should be holding hands.
Oh, yes.
In the presence of our God, our families and friends, I offer you my solemn vow to be your faithful partner, you know these words by heart, in sickness and health, in good times and bad, in joy and in sorrow. I promise to love you unconditionally, to support you in your goals, to honor and respect you, to laugh with you and cry with you, and to cherish you as long as we both shall live.
Ditto.
Yeah, good enough. But so commit to be their partner, their champion, their cheerleader, their defender, their caregiver, their number one companion, their best friend, their lover, and everything else you've got to give, and let them know it. Because if you've come out of a place of insecurity where you need to rebuild, you got to make sure that they know you're committed.
And I love thinking about when you're married and when you're standing up on the altar and you're saying those words and you mean it with all your heart at that second, right? Mm-hmm. You're like, yeah, I'm in it. And then everything happens. Mm-hmm. Life happens. And you're 5, 7, 10 years down the road and you're like, well, this got too hard. Mm-hmm. So I'm all done. It's like, but those vows you said, sickness and health, good times, bad, all of that. And we have a great relationship, been together for a long time, but not every single day is great.
Really?
And I'm just saying, like, you're raising children together. It's not easy. And I just think that it's kind of interesting that we just give up mm-hmm. and so easily. Yeah, it's mind blowing to me. And like you were saying, you recommit. It's almost you have to recommit daily.
Yeah.
So my point is, show it daily. I mean, show the
That's
love
number 4,
daily.
In case you're listening.
Oh, number 4. Okay, I forgot we were numbering these.
Yeah.
Show how committed you are to your marriage. Make time for each other. You are married. That means at one time or another, you loved each other enough to make that commitment in front of people.
Yeah.
You committed. You got a certificate. You went out of your way to do a wedding, the whole thing. And weddings are complicated. You did that because it mattered to you. It's a big deal. So take time for each other. Take a car ride. I mean, car rides are fun because you're not sitting at each other across the table saying, we got to have this deep conversation, and you're staring at each other in your eyes, and it's kind of freaky and a little intimidating. If you're insecure, a car ride's awesome. Mm-hmm. Turn off the radio, look straight out the window, and have the conversation mm-hmm. you need to have without staring in each other's eyes and being a little insecure. It's so much more fun. Gabe and I, most of the time, when we'll go on a ride we live in Portland, so the Gorge, the beach, up to Mount Hood, we're talking the whole time. Radio's not even on. We're chatting the whole time because it's a safe place. It's fun. So
it's great catch-up time. Yeah. It's one of the best times to confess something that you did.
Because you're not looking at each other.
Or if you're driving, they can't really react. You got to keep safe. So
yeah.
Just kidding.
You ate the less cinnamon roll.
Yeah.
What? So take a car ride. Take time for each other. Talk to each other. Kiss each other. Listen to each other. Ask advice from each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, it shows that you value the other person's opinion about something and you want them involved. I think that's cool. Of course, Gabe and I always harp on this. Go out on a date. For crying out loud, go out on a date. Have sex. I mean, because here's the deal. When you don't have sex for a long period of time, you feel distant and you do get insecure. And my advice to you is do it anyways. You'll get over it because you need to have that intimate relationship in this relationship. It has to happen. You have to be having sex. It's part of the marriage covenant. So don't let that happen because the Bible says that the devil will get in there and cause a wedge. And if that happens, it's not long, you'll be divorced. So I'm just going to say it honestly. Just have sex, okay? Even if you don't want to. And I understand there's times in life where you're busy, you're raising kids, you're exhausted, you're emotional. Maybe you're dealing with the physical ailment. Maybe you have depression. I'm going to say, talk about it, work it out, pray about it. But don't stop having sex because it is a wedge that will happen and the devil loves to get in there and destroy that relationship. So I'm just saying, do that. Flirt. Gabe is good at this. I try to be too, but he'll send me a text during the day that says, hi, you're hot. I love you. Like little things like that. And I always send him back stuff, but it's fun. Flirt with each other, have some fun and make an effort to go maybe on like an overnight date or on a trip together. Just enough time that you can like get away from the chaos and reconnect. Maybe that's just a night or two at the beach, or maybe it's like a trip down to California for a week or something. But But do that. Make time for each other. It's really important.
Well, and I mean, in that, as it kind of rolls off your tongue, maybe a trip down to California or something. For some people, they're going like, "Are you kidding me? We couldn't afford." You know what I mean? Like we couldn't afford the time or the money or whatever. But I think underneath what you said is priority on this relationship, so that we've pre-decided that, and many of you have as well. Like, okay, we're gonna have a fund for this. We're gonna have time carved out, and so I think that's a big piece, is that you back that up to how you make that possible.
Might I just do a shameless plug for Westside Community Church? Currently, we are in a money series. I don't like to call it a money series, but I'm saying financial series.
Life, Money, Hope.
Life, Money, Hope. And man, the last 2 weeks have been good. We have one more week. So some good little tips and tricks in there. I suggest listening if you are struggling. But anyways, let me give you a couple warnings real quick. Don't fall into the housemate's roommate trap. Okay? If you're not sleeping together, stop it. Get in the same bed. Like, you need to not be roommates, separate rooms, separate beds. Don't. I mean, if you have a snoring issue, which someone in our relationship has a little tiny little bit of one, get breathe rights. Figure it out. Go to the doctor. Don't stop sleeping in the same bed. Right? We know so many couples that had opposite schedules, and they were working, like one of them was working overnighters a lot, and it went on for years and years, and they got divorced. It's like because they never shared a bed together. I mean, there's something intimate and special about that. Don't get trapped in that. And also, don't get trapped in just being parents. You're first a married couple. That needs to be a priority. And I understand the kids are louder and take up a lot more time and energy and money, but I really think it's really important that you're a couple first and not just parents, because that can really be hard. Now, if you're feeling insecure about yourself, go to counseling if you need to. Maybe go to the doctor, get some exercise, go to a health coach, figure out where your lack of confidence is coming from and work on that. Now, if you're feeling insecure about your marriage, I'm going to say counseling is always good. Talk it out with somebody. Go together, go alone. There's so much. I mean, read marriage books, listen to podcasts like this. Talk to each other about it, and maybe even pray about it and pray together about it, and just really figure out how to build that security in your relationship, like the banner again, right? We want to be under that beautiful banner. So don't let insecurity ruin your marriage. Get your confidence first from God, and then ask your spouse to help you build your confidence. Just say, hey, I need you to help me like myself, and help your spouse like themselves as well. Flirt with them, compliment them, make them a priority, and love all over them, and make them feel confident in this relationship too. It starts with you. I can't be like, oh, I'm feeling insecure, Gabe better make me feel better. I really need to help myself first. And then I can ask Gabe, can you help me with this? But he can't be the end all for this. I need to find my insecurity in Christ first. But that's my 2 cents.
So good. All right. We have a really, really important thing now. It is homework. Okay. We don't always give homework, but this time there's homework. And I'm serious. It's a big deal. Okay. You ready? You got to spend some time with each other. You got to go on a date, but not just any date. Okay. If you have to seal the deal in just one date, it's got to be one doozy of a date, right? I'm not talking dinner and a movie. I'm not talking mini golf. I'm talking 17 dates worth of romance wrapped up in one incredible night. I'm talking about a super date. All right. This is like, carriage ride, fancy restaurant, silver plates, ice skating, theater, renewing your wedding vows, fireworks, and a kiss at the end. We want you to make it big. Go spend some time, go through these steps, and do those vow renewals. And your insecurity is going to start dissolving the more attention you put onto this.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Thanks for joining us today. Don't forget to subscribe and share, and we will see you next month.